Okay. Stage 2, page 76. Last headword was grammar. Okay, so let's start with our revision. Okay. Let's move on to
Okay.
page. Oh, I overshoot. Okay, one moment. Let me just scroll down. 70. Okay, here we go. First question.
Oh,
Are your
okay.
eyes the same color as my eyes? Are your eyes the same color as my eyes? Yes or no?
Yes,
My
yes.
eyes are the
My eyes
same
are
color.
same as
Are
my
the
eyes
same
as
color
the same color as
your
your
eyes?
eyes.
Very good. Do people in Germany speak the same language as the people in Japan? Do people in Germany speak the same language as the people in Japan? No. The
No,
people in Germany
the people in
don't
Germany
speak the same
don't speak
language
the same language
as the
as
people in
the
Japan.
people in Japan.
They speak a different
They speak
language
a different
from the
language
people in
from the people
Japan.
in Japan.
Which is it right to say? People are or people is? Which is it right to say? People are or people is? It's right
The
to
right to
say
say
people are. People are.
it, people are.
Very good. Okay, next. What do the words anybody and somebody mean in Japanese? What do the words anybody and somebody mean in Japanese? The words
The
anybody
words
and somebody
anybody,
mean
somebody means
dareka in
Daleka
Japanese.
in Japanese.
What's the difference between anybody and somebody? What's the difference between anybody and somebody? The
The
difference
difference
between
between
anybody
anybody
and
and somebody
is that
is
we
that
use
we
anybody
use
in
anybody is
questions
in questions
and negative sentences,
and the negative sentences,
whereas we
whereas we
use
use
somebody in
somebody
positive
is
sentences.
in positive sentences.
Very good. Okay, is there anybody in this room? Is there anybody in this room? Yes,
Yes,
there's somebody.
there there
There's
there's somebody
somebody in that
there's
room.
somebody in that room.
Regit, is there anybody speaking to you? Is there anybody speaking to you? Yes, there's
Yes,
somebody
there's somebody
speaking to me.
speaking to me.
Very good. Is there anybody sitting there on that chair? Is there anybody sitting there on that chair? Yes,
Yes,
there's
there's
somebody
somebody
there
sitting
sitting there on that
sitting
chair.
there on that chair.
Very good. Okay, next. Is there anybody sitting on the floor? Is there anybody sitting on the floor? No, there
No,
isn't anybody.
there isn't nobody. There
a-
isn't.
Anybody sitting on the
Um,
floor.
there is.
One more. No, there isn't anybody
Um, no, there isn't anybody
sitting on the floor.
sitting on the floor.
Wait, is there anybody in this room wearing a hat? Is there anybody in this room wearing a hat? No,
No,
there
there
isn't
isn't
anybody
anybody
in that room
in that room
wearing
wearing
a
a
hat.
hat.
Very good.
Wearing a hat.
Is there anybody in the corridor? Is there anybody in the corridor? No,
No,
there
there's
isn't.
nobody
There
in the
isn't
corridor.
anybody. No, there isn't
No, there
anybody
isn't anybody
in the
in
corridor.
at a corridor.
Very good. Who's speaking English in this room? Who's speaking English in this room? We're speaking English
We're
in this
speaking
room.
English
In this
in
room.
this room.
Who's speaking French in this room? Who's speaking French in this room?
No,
Nobody's speaking French in this room.
nobody can speak
Nobody's
French.
speaking French in this room.
Nobody, nobody is
Nobody's speaking French.
speaking French in this room.
Very good. Who's wearing clothes in this room? Who's wearing clothes in this room? We're wearing
We're
clothes in this
wearing
room.
the color in this room.
Who's wearing a hat in this room? Who's wearing a hat in this room?
There isn't
Nobody's uh, is wearing a
nobody
hat
is wearing a hat
in
in
this
this
room.
room.
Very good. Who's giving you an English lesson? Who's giving you an English lesson? You're giving
You're
me
giving me
an English lesson.
an English lesson.
Wait, who's in the corridor? Who's in the corridor?
There is
Nobody's
nobody
in the
in
corridor.
that corridor.
Very good. Okay, next. What am I doing? What am I doing? You're walking.
You're walking.
Very good. Where am I walking to? Where am I walking to? You're walking.
You're walking to the window.
Where am I walking to? Where am I walking to?
You're walking to the door.
Very good. Okay, next. Do you like walking? Do you like walking? Yes or no?
Yes, I like walking.
Very good. Does she like walking? Does she like walking? Yes or no?
Yes, walking.
She likes walking. Very good. Is this Mr. Brown's dress? Is this Mr. Brown's dress? No,
No,
it
it isn't
isn't.
Mr. Brown's dress. It's
It's
Mrs. Brown's dress.
very good. Is this Jack Brown's shirt? Is this Jack Brown's shirt? Yes.
Yes, Jet. It's a Jet Brown's.
Shirt.
It's Jet Brown's shirt.
Very good. Is this Mr. Brown's arm? Is this Mr. Brown's arm? No.
No, it isn't Mr. Brown's arms. It's
It's
Mrs. Brown's arms.
is this Mr. Smith's ear? Is this Mr. Smith's ear? No,
No,
it
it
isn't.
isn't
Mr.
Mrs.
Smith's.
Smith's ears. It's
It's
Mr.
Mr. Brown's.
Brown's ears.
Very good. Okay, next.
Hmm.
Is this Jack Brown's book? Is this Jack Brown's book? No, it isn't
No, it isn't
Jack
Jack Brown's
Brown's book.
book.
It's your book.
It's your books.
Very good. Okay, what's my right hand doing? What's my right hand doing? Your right hands
Your moving. Your right hands are moving
moving.
up and down.
Very good. What am I doing? What am I doing? You're standing up.
You're sitting. You're standing up.
What am I doing?
Standing
What am I?
up.
I'm sorry. Okay, one more. What am I doing? What am I doing? You're
You're
standing up.
standing up.
What am I doing? What am I doing? You're
You're
sitting
sitting
down.
down.
Very good. Do you sit down after the lesson? Do you sit down after the lesson?
No, I
I
don't
don't
sit. I
sit
don't
down after the
sit
lesson.
sit down after lesson.
I stand up after the
I
lesson.
stand up. I stand up after the lesson.
Very good. Okay, what's the negative of can? What's the negative of can? The negative of
Uh,
can is
the
cannot.
negative. Mm.
The negative
Oh,
of can is cannot.
the negative of I can is I can't.
Oh, wait, it's another one. One more. The negative of can
The negative of can
is
is
cannot.
can't. Is cannot.
What's the contraction of cannot? What's the contraction of cannot? The
The
contraction
contractive
of
of
cannot
cannot
is
is
can't.
can't.
Very good. So the negative of can is cannot. The contraction of cannot is can't. Can you speak
Yeah.
Greek? Can you speak Greek?
No, I can't speak Greek.
Very good. Can you put this table into your pocket? Can you put this table into your pocket? No.
No, I can't
Put that
put the
table.
table into my pocket.
Very good. Can you touch the ceiling? Can you touch the ceiling? No.
No, I can't touch the ceiling.
Very good. Okay. How much is a quarter of 40? How much is a quarter of 40? 10 is a
10
quarter
is
of
the
40.
quarter. 10 is the quarter of
40.
40.
Very good. How much is a quarter of 1,000? How much is a quarter of 1,000? 250 is a quarter of 1,000.
250 is a quarter of 1,000.
Very good. What's a quarter of 10? What's a quarter of 10? Two and a half
Two
is a
and a
quarter
half
of 10.
is a quarter of 10.
What's a quarter of 5? What's a quarter of 5? One and a quarter
One and a quarter
is a
is a
quarter.
quarter of
Oh,
5.
very good. Okay. Are you teaching me English? Are you teaching me English?
No,
I'm
I
not.
don't teach you.
I'm not teaching you
I'm
English.
not teaching you
English. I'm
English.
learning English
From
from
you.
you.
I'm learning English from you.
Very good. Do you learn Spanish? Do you learn Spanish? Yes or no?
No, I
I
don't
don't learn
learn
Spanish.
Spanish.
I learn English.
I learn English.
Very good. Do you like learning a language? Do you like learning a language? Yes or
Yes,
no?
I like learning
A
language.
language. Very good.
Language.
Does she like learning a language? Does she like learning a language?
Yes,
Yes,
she likes learning
a
language.
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 Very good. Okay, next. Is English grammar difficult? Is English grammar difficult? No. English
No,
grammar isn't
English,
difficult.
English grammar isn't difficult.
It's easy.
It's easy.
Is Chinese an easy language to learn? Is Chinese an easy language to learn? No, Chinese
No,
isn't
Chinese
an
isn't
easy language to learn.
an easy language to learn.
It's a difficult language to
It's
learn.
it's difficult.
It's a
it's
difficult
it's a difficult
language to learn.
language to learn.
Very good. Is it difficult for you to speak your language? Is it difficult for you to speak your language? No, it isn't
No,
difficult
it
for
isn't
me
difficult for
to
me
speak my language.
to speak my
It's
language.
easy.
It's easy.
Is it generally easy for people to write with their left hand? Is it generally easy for people to write with their left hand? No, it
No, it
isn't
isn't.
generally easy.
It
It
no,
isn't generally easy
it isn't generally easy
for people to write
for people
with
to
their
write
left hand. With
to
their left hand.
to
To write with their
write.
left hand. Right, like
To
write a
write.
letter.
Yes, to write with the left hand
It's difficult.
is difficult.
One more. No, it isn't
No, it
generally
isn't
easy
generally. No, it isn't generally easy
for
to
people to
write
write
for people to
with their
write
left hand.
with their
Left hand.
left hand.
It's difficult.
Hand. It's difficult.
Very good. Okay, and that's the end of our revision. Let's have new word. Very good. Okay, repeat. Hang.
Hang.
Map.
Ma.
Very good. Okay, listen. Hang is a verb. For
Yes.
example, my pen's hanging between my finger and my thumb.
Yes.
Okay, another example. There's a light hanging from the ceiling. Map is a
Yes.
noun. For example, there's a map hanging on the wall. It's a world map.
Yes.
Okay, let's practice. What's my pen doing? What's my pen doing? Your pen's hanging.
Your
Y-
your
Your pen's hanging
your pants is hanging
between your finger and your
between your
thumb.
finger, your thumb.
Is there a light hanging from the ceiling? Is there a light hanging from the ceiling? Yes, there's a light hanging
There's
from the ceiling.
there's
Yeah.
uh
Yes,
yes,
there's a light.
there's a light. There's a light.
Like there is. There's.
There
Okay.
there's a
A light
light
hanging from the ceiling.
hanging from the ceiling.
Regit, is there a map hanging on that wall? Is there a map hanging
Yes,
on that wall? Yes,
there's
there's
a
a
map
map hanging on that
hanging
wall.
on that wall.
Very good. Okay, next repeat. By,
By
car,
car,
bus,
bus,
train,
train,
school.
school.
Very good. Okay, listen. The word by is a preposition, while car, bus, train, and school are all nouns. For example, I walk home after the lesson. I don't go by car, by bus, or by train. I prefer to go by car. I come to school by bus. He comes to school by train. Okay, let's practice. Do you
Yes.
go home after the lesson by car, by bus, by train, or do you walk home? Do you go home after the lesson by car, by bus, by train, or do you walk home? I walk
No,
home. I
I
walk
walk
home
home.
after the
I walk
lesson.
home. I walk home after the lesson.
I don't go by car,
I don't go by car,
by bus, or
by
by
bus,
train.
but or by train.
Wegid, which do you prefer to walk or to go by car? Which do you prefer to walk or to go by car? I prefer to
I prefer to go. Eh,
by
I
car
prefer.
or
I
to walk.
prefer.
I
I
prefer to
prefer
walk
to. I prefer to walk
than to go by car. Than to
then
go by
then to go
go
by
car.
car.
Very
Yes.
good. Do you come to school by train or by bus? Do you come to school by train or by bus? I come to school
I
by.
come to school by car.
Very good. Oh, but the choices is train or bus. Okay, so you have to choose between those options. So, do you
Yes.
come to school by train or by bus? I come to school by.
I come to school by train.
Very good. Does she come to school by train or by bus? Does she come to school by train or by bus? She comes to
She comes to
school
school
by.
by car.
No, bus or train again. By. She comes to
Uh,
school
by,
by.
by bus.
By bus. Very good. Okay, next repeat. Married,
Married.
single,
Single.
miss.
Miss.
Very good. Okay, listen. Married is an adjective. For
Adjective.
example,
Yes.
Mr. Brown isn't single. He's married. Single
Yes.
is an adjective. For example, she's not married. She's single. Miss
Yes.
is a noun. We use the word miss to address a young girl or a single woman. For example,
Yes.
Miss Brown isn't married. She's single.
Yes.
Okay, let's practice. Are you married? Are you married? Yes or no?
Yes.
I'm married.
I'm married.
Is Mr. Brown single? Is Mr. Brown single? No. Mr. Brown isn't single.
Mr. Brown isn't single.
He's married.
She's married. He's married.
Is Miss Brown married? Is Miss Brown married? No.
No,
Miss
Mrs.
Brown.
Brown. Miss
Miss
Brown
Brown
isn't.
married.
Miss Brown married.
One more. No. Miss Brown isn't married.
No, Mrs. Brown isn't married.
She's single.
She's single.
Very good. Next, repeat. Husband.
Husband,
Wife.
wife.
Very good. Okay, listen. Husband is a noun. For example,
Yes.
Mrs. Brown's got a husband. Mrs. Brown's husband isn't standing behind the house. He's standing in front of the house. Wife is a noun. For
Mm,
example, Mr.
yes.
Brown's got a wife. Let's practice. Has
Yes.
Mrs. Brown got a wife? Has Mrs. Brown got a wife? No.
Yes.
Mrs. Brown's. Yes. Mr.
Yes.
Brown's
Mr. Brown
got a wife.
got a wife.
Has Mrs. Brown got a husband? Has Mrs. Brown got a husband? Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Brown
Mr. Brown
got a husband.
get a husband.
Very good. Is Mrs. Brown's husband standing behind the house? Is Mrs. Brown's husband standing behind the house? No.
No,
Mrs.
Mrs. Brown
Brown's
isn't.
husband. Mrs. Brown's husband
Mrs. Brown's husband
isn't
isn't
standing behind
standing
the house.
behind the house.
He's
He's
standing
standing
in
in
front
front
of
of
the
the
house.
house.
Very good. Next, repeat. Mother.
Mother,
Father.
mother.
Very good. Okay, listen. Mother is a noun. For example, my mother's name is Mary. Father is a noun. For example, my father's name is Joseph. Another example is my father's wife's name is Mary. My mother's husband's name is Joseph. Okay, so let's practice. What's your mother's name? What's your mother's name? My mother's name is.
My mother's name is da da da.
Okay. What's your father's name? What's your father's name? My
My
father's name.
father's name is da da da.
Okay. Let's just use other name. What's your father's wife name? What's your father's wife name? My
My
father's
father's name.
wife name. My
My
father's
father's
wife
wife's
name
name is
is.
da da.
Very good.
Is mm.
What's your mother's husband's name? What's your mother's husband's name? My
My
mother's
mother's
husband's name
husband's name is
is.
mm,
Very
da
good.
da.
Okay, next, repeat. Child.
Child,
Children.
children,
Only child.
only child.
Very good. Okay, listen. Child is a noun. The plural of child is children. Only is an adjective, which means one or so. For example, my father and mother have got two children. I'm not an only child. Let's practice. What's the plural of child? What's the plural of child? The
The
plural of child
plural of the
is
child
children.
is children.
One more. No more da. The plural of child
The
is children.
plural, the plural of the child.
Not the child. The plural
Oh,
of child
no. The plural of child
is children.
is children.
Very good. How many children have your mother and father got? How many children have your mother and father got? My mother and
My
father
mother
have
and the
got.
father have got two children.
Very good. Are you an only child? Are you an only child? Yes or no?
No, I'm
I'm
not.
not.
I'm not a only child.
Very good. Okay, next repeat. Call.
Call
Mom.
mom,
Dad.
dad.
Very good. Okay, listen. We call this a mouth. We call this a pen. People
Yes,
generally call their mother and father mom and dad. Okay,
yes.
let's practice. What do we call this? What do we call this? We
We
call that.
call we call that pen.
Very good. Okay, next. What do we call the people in France? What do we call the people in France? We call the people in France
French,
French. Oh, did you
French.
answer all? Complete. We call the people
We called the people
in France French.
in French,
French.
in French, French.
Very good. Okay. What do we call the thing we wear on our heads? What do we call the thing we wear on our heads? We call the
Mm,
thing.
We call the
we
thing.
wear on our heads.
We wear our hats.
A hat.
Our hat.
Oh, not our hat. A hat.
A hat.
Very good. One more. We call the thing
We call the
we
thing.
wear on our
We
heads.
we wear
On our heads.
our hat
On our heads.
on our hats.
A hat.
A hat.
Very good. What do people generally call their mother and father? What do people generally call their mother and father?
We
People,
generally People
people,
generally call
their
the
mother and father,
their mother and the father
mom and
mom
dad.
and dad.
Very good. Okay, so now let's move on to your reading.
Yes.
Okay, so reading is at stage one, page 20. Last head word was between. Okay, start with between.
Between.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Stay page
Listen.
20.
20. Yes. Sorry. Mm. Between.
Mhm.
Which letters between D and F is between D and F? No. Which letters between H and J? It's I is
I,
between H and I
J. I's
and J.
between I
As
and J.
between I and J. Which letters between Q and S? R's between Q and S.
Very good.
No.
Us. Okay, read the head word.
Us.
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 Mhm.
Us. Where's the table? The table's in front of us. Are the walls in front of us? No. The walls aren't in front of us. They're between us.
Uh,
Is the table
One
behind
more.
us?
They're behind us.
They're behind us.
Mhm.
Is the table behind us? No. The table isn't behind us. It's in front of us.
Very good.
Mm.
Next, page
Where?
21. Them.
Mm, them.
Mhm.
Them. Where's the house? The house. The house between them.
No, no, it's not between. Read again. The house.
Um, the house behind them.
Very good. Behind them.
Um,
Next.
yes. Are you behind them? No, I'm not behind them. I'm in front of them.
Very good.
Am I in front of them? No, you aren't in front of them. You're be- uh, you're behind them.
Very good.
Am I a student? No, you aren't a
Oh,
student.
read the
You're
read the head word first. Student, teacher.
student teacher.
Very good.
Am I a student? No, you aren't a student. You're the teacher. Are you the teacher? No, I'm not the teacher. I'm a student.
Very good. Okay, read 30,
Mm,
40,
30, 40. What
50.
numbers?
Read everything. 50,
Mm,
60.
50s, 60s. Mm. What numbers this? 30, 40,
etc.
etc.
Mm-hmm.
What numbers are these? 30,
13, 40,
13, 40,
14,
14, etc.
etc.
etc. Mm. What number is this? 300 for 13,
Very
300.
good.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so it's up there for